What's up, guys? Welcome to the live stream. It's Brian from Simpleman's Comics. Got a pretty cool show going on tonight. So we're going to talk about the CBSI Bolo list that Jack Demayo from Instagram does. I have Jack here co-hosting with me. We're going to try to do this every week. So this is the first Bolo / dry run. We're going to take this and try to massage it to where we finally get a good product and a good weekly show. So without further ado, I want to introduce Jack Demayo, who's from the CBSI Instagram account and the creator of the list.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you, Brian. I'm real happy to be here on Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel. I've been here a couple times before, and I'm excited to be doing something on a more weekly basis. As he said, I am Jack Demayo, a.k.a. Mr. Bolo, on Instagram. I do the Instagram account for CBSI with Brian. I am also a content manager, and I work with CBSI behind the scenes on some of our general content plans. And the Bolo list was kind of a product of beginning to work on the social media and the branding of the social media. I knew that I wanted to have kind of a cheat sheet for collectors looking to jump in, going to New Comic Book Day, going to their LCS, and who wanted kind of like a one-page, easy, this is what we know as of this moment sort of list. So it was sort of a spur-of-the-moment thing that has kind of grown into a bit of a monster for us on IG. And so it gave us the idea to kind of be here and do this now.
Right. So in addition to the Bolo list, is there anything going on right now on CBSI Instagram that is there a contest or is there a giveaway? What's going on?
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that, but over at the CBSI Instagram, we are promoting CBSISwag.com, the brand new website from CBSI where you can finally buy CBSI merchandise. And we are running a contest right now. It's Comic Book Invest CBSI over on Instagram. All you have to do is repost our giveaway post, tag 2 friends, and you are automatically entered in to the post. But make sure you are following both Comic Book Invest CBSI and the @CBSI Swag account.
Right. So the link to CBSISwag.com and the link to the Instagram post to join the contest is in the description of this video, by the way. Sorry, a little flustered, trying to get stuff fixed on the screen. It's not working out the way I wanted it to. Everything was good until I hit start, but we'll get there.
So, it was behind the scenes hiccups, but we're gonna work on it. We're gonna, like you said, we're gonna massage it week to week.
So let's go ahead, and if you want, we can pull the Bolo list up. I got the Bolo list right here.
Absolutely.
And when you're doing this list each and every week, what goes into your mindset? Where do you get the information from? How do you go about creating the list?
Well, I think that's the best question because a lot of people have interpreted it as like it's CBSI's list of books to get, or it's Mr. Bolo's list of books to get. But really, neither is the case. When I started managing the social media for CBSI, I started consuming so much content on social media, on IG, reading linked articles. Also, we've begun working with influencers. So as I'm watching other people's channels, watching other accounts, you start to notice the same books get brought up prior to release date. And I said, man, at running this account, I'm getting to see so much information that others aren't getting to see. So I wanted to find a real quick and concise way where I could pass that information on. So the list is really just comprised of what I have heard, what we are hearing, collectors, speculators, investors, retailers talking about. And I broke it into categories which have kind of evolved and changed over time, that kind of bring up who's talking about it. So when we have reader buzz, that may not mean that a book is going to spike on the secondary market. It's more that people really want to read that book. People are excited to hear about that book, and they want to check it out. It's not usually a speculation tool, but we all know that books that people are excited to read can sell out. They can be underprinted and can then go up. And if you look at like Donny Cates, the whole run, whether it's a key or not, has spiked. So it's really just a comprising of what I'm seeing on social media, what people are talking about, and aiming to give the comic book buyer on Wednesday an aid to see what has a shot at spiking, what appearances are confirmed. And the key word in that category is confirmed, because there's a lot of talk of first appearances, but the only books I will ever include in the confirmed first appearance category are ones that I've either viewed myself, or ones that multiple sources have reported on, or solicitation itself has said. So I try to list those so you know those going in, and then break down into the other categories of who's talking about it and where we're hearing it, whether it's, like I said, Instagram, Twitter, or whatnot.
Right. So Instagram's the main place, with the hashtag CBSIBOLO, right? Where else is the Bolo list located? Do we have it on the website? Is there anywhere else someone can go and find the CBSI Bolo list?
Right. Originally, we had done it as an Instagram exclusive, but it gotten to the point where people wanted it posted on the Google Plus. So we started doing that for a while. But now it has found its home on comicbookinvest.com. Of course, that's the CBSI website. It's posted there every Wednesday. We still post it on Instagram. It will always have a home on Instagram. It's born on Instagram, but it is definitely check it out on comicbookinvest.com. And also on the Comic Book Invest post, we also give a description of the Bolo list and give the aim of the Bolo list.
I couldn't wear the hat anymore. My head was getting hot. But hey, so this is the Bolo list recap. I think we should probably go through the Bolo list and see what kind of stuck out. It's only been a day since new comic releases, but market moves in a day, so we can kind of look at it. I know I've kind of looked at the Bolo list and then looked at eBay, kind of see what the sales were, which, of course, everyone's well aware of. To me, the biggest thing that came out this week so far would be that Harley Quinn Tedesco variant, right?
Absolutely. That was the one that everybody talked about, whether it was your weekly picks video in the beginning of the week, the Wednesday one on Wednesday on comicbookinvest.com from Adam Lebednik, which is a great article that I advocate everybody reading, where Adam weighs in on kind of his picks on what is going to be a mover and what is a good spec play on New Comic Book Day. And that drops usually Tuesday nights on comicbookinvest.com. And that was definitely the book that everyone kind of saw coming. You had a artist switch going from Chow to Tedesco, and that may have caught people off guard. But beautiful cover, first appearance. So it's kind of made for a perfect storm.
Right. I like Tedesco, so usually when I see Tedesco covers, I buy on site, and then most of the time I'm not disappointed. Every now and then I am. I did like the foil cover he did for Harley also, but I like the cover, but I wasn't too fond of the foil covers that DC had put out at that time.
Right, and I think it would have been better if they were cover Bs than cover As. I think there's always going to be a stigma of the regular cover.
Right.
So it didn't really pop in the secondary market.
So,
but people were all over this one. So it's, you're seeing prices trending anywhere from 20, 25. There's live auctions bidding into 20. So there's definitely a demand for it. Will it retain its value? We'll see, but it looks good. People seem interested. And I like the fact that there's a first appearance in there. We don't know what that will become, but the fact that there is a first appearance, it hedges the bet a little bit and lets you know you're not just investing in this for beautiful cover art, but you also have a first appearance that could become something. So it's definitely the Wednesday winner.
It seems like there's a plethora of first appearances lately in comics.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see how they play out. But real quick, we got people starting to come into the chat. I just want to give a couple shout outs. We got Discovery Bay Comics. Great guy. He's the one that did he has a YouTube channel where he does the videos of, this is cool because I haven't really seen it done before, where he says, hey, this is what's going on comic-wise in the comic community on YouTube today. And he tells a bunch of other channels, economics and comics. There's a bunch of others I know I'm probably forgetting right now. And it's kind of hard because you always try to pick a day where, hey, I know this channel's doing a live stream this day, this channel's doing a live stream that day. What time can we kind of do where you don't... It's a big community, great community, but it's hard because there's going to be schedule conflicts, program conflicts. So, sorry, Economics and Comics. I know he's got something going on right now as well. I think he's got his grading show, but a bunch of other people in the chat. We got Cassie Madonia. I got Issues 2319 or 231 Joshua Vincent. Bunch of CBSI guys in here. Dan Piercy, Dino, Ben C. Never heard of that guy though. So, welcome to the chat. First, CBSI Bolo. This is like, I wouldn't even call this the pilot. This is more like the lessons learned.
It's preseason. It's preseason right now.
Yeah, we're in preseason mode. But, so, I guess what we'll do is we'll go, we've covered the Harley. Let's just kind of go down the Bolo list, and then we'll look at what we did. So, Avengers number 12, right? Agents of Wakanda. Was that the one that also had the 1 million BC Iron Fist, or was that, I'm trying to remember. I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
But
yeah, we haven't seen any immediate movement really on that. There's some interest. I don't personally love team books. Yeah. There seems to be, like you said, there's a first appearance in every issue, and it seems like there's a team jumping up. It's a kind of go-to trope for Marvel to throw a bunch of people together and make a team.
Make a team and have a cover for every person on the team and their brother.
Right.
But, so yeah, we looked, average sale right now is pretty much up the cover price. They got some listed up for $10. I don't see that selling, but next one we had was Young Justice number 1. This is one book that I was looking forward to for a while. I had a chance to finally read it tonight, and I really enjoyed the book, and it's got a couple first appearances in it, right?
Yeah, it does. So you have the new Teen Lantern. I think it's a full appearance. I think there may be some discrepancy on that one.
No, she's in there.
Yeah, she's in there. And was there anything before that though?
I'm not sure, but she also hints in there that she needs to change her name. So, because she's like, I'm Teen Lantern, and then also Jenny.
Yeah, they need a moniker. And then it's the first. They need a better moniker for her.
Yeah, but I guess it rhymes with green.
Yeah,
but
then you have the first appearance of the new Young Justice team, this incarnation. That it's definitely a book that I have interest in as well, because I think with Brian Michael Bendis writing it, you get more attention than previous Young Justice volumes have gotten. You have the new season 3 that just dropped on the DC Universe app. So you have kind of, media talk going on right now. So I think that that book has a lot going for it. And then a lot of people really dig some of the young DC Comics characters. They seem to have traction with their younger characters hitting a younger audience. So I hope that book continues to grow. I think it has potential.
Plus you got the cartoon getting ready to relaunch on the streaming service. And I loved Young Justice cartoon. This story was great. It was one of the few books that I got to read so far. It's kind of cool how they introduced the team. Basically, battle starts, and then one by one they start showing up. But I don't want to speak too much about the comic, but I enjoyed it. Harley Quinn 57, we kind of touched on that. Now, reader buzz, you have Rags number 3. I'll come out and say that I'm not a big fan of Rags. I didn't get on that train. I read the first issue. I thought it was okay, but I started seeing the prices go up too much, and I kind of just like fell off of it. But people love some Rags.
So Rags has clearly been talked about by every comics YouTuber and person, kind of influencer on the market. But I think that this week we saw maybe the effects of kind of the damage Rags did to itself on the secondary market. You don't see the jumping in value that you saw in the first 2 issues. Now that can be common with issue 3, but I definitely think you started to see the turn and the sour taste. I think we have on our notes what the variant $15 average and the regular cover at about $4. So right. That's not what I mean. Granted, you're only talking a day after release day, but it's not what we saw from the previous issues. So I definitely think you're seeing the downturn there with it on the secondary market.
Right. So, Web of Venom Unleashed. I have that on there. Reader buzz. I didn't pick it up. I was gonna pick it up, but I started looking through it, and it didn't whet my appetite. Plus, I think there's a lot of Venom books out there right now. A lot of Venom, a lot of Spider-Man.
So Web of Venom Unleashed, the one thing that it has going for it is that it has Ryan Stegman going for it, or some people may say against it, but Ryan Stegman doing the art and writing on it. And with the way that they're doing everything with Venom and the Spider-Verse and Donny Cates, almost anything can be mined and then later used. So you're always going to have attention on a new Venom book, especially a Venom #1. Almost not. And another thing I'll say too about the list and the reader buzz section is almost any #1 issue is going to be talked about enough to end up in a reader buzz. Not everyone, but it's kind of an easy thing to end up happening because people tend to talk about new series coming out. So a lot of these series, you'll have the #1 will have some buzz. People will check it out. They'll feel the same way you do. And then issue #2, you'll never see it on the list.
Right. And I do similar with my weekly picks video. It's a lot of times I highlight #1 issues that are coming out. Look at the solicit, look at the premise of it, and hey, this looks cool. Plus, people might not be aware that, hey, there's a #1 issue. So I'll put it on there. A lot of times I'll put it on the weekly picks, at least maybe through the first arc, and see if I can try to pick it up and read it myself. And if it's nothing that's really spectacular, I kind of let it drop off. Not only that, but there's how many books come out each week? And
right.
I try to keep the weekly picks videos between like 10 to 13 minutes because no one wants to sit there and just watch over and over. It's like you try to like flash, I don't know, change that up so it's not super boring, but yeah. So
that's the new like kind of criticism that I heard for the first time this week and recently was that like the Bolo list was too long. And it's like, if you realized how many books come out in a week, if you look at that total release list and then you start looking at trying to avoid being in a situation where you're only highlighting like 3 books and then it comes off more like I'm telling you to go buy these 3 books versus just letting you know what others are talking about. It becomes a task every week to keep it from getting too large because of just the sheer volume of books that come out on a weekly basis. And they're constantly, like you said, pumping out new #1 series and mini series and spinoffs.
Right. So the next one you got on here is Blood Realm #3. I know Andy would be big on this one. Andy's the one that does the Indie Spotlight series for comicbookinvest.com. I haven't read it. I kind of followed it around a little bit. I know issues 1 and 2 are kind of still up there. You can get sets for about $15-20. #3, it's sitting at cover, but we saw some listed at $6 and up to $13, but the $13 was including like the set of 3.
Well, the unique thing, though, about alternate comics that you always have to remember is the $1.50 cover price.
Right.
No one's talking about getting rich here, but when you look at selling, say, a comic for $4 or $5 before shipping, or, and you're talking about an alternate comic, you're still in it at $1.50. So it's a really kind of a low buy-in opportunity with alternate stuff, and they're starting to get some momentum in the market, and people are starting to pay attention, and they're doing a good job kind of organically growing. So it's something to kind of keep an eye on, and definitely Andy would be the one that probably put that on my radar as a book to pay attention to.
Right. So we already covered Young Justice. Conspiracy number 2, Doppelganger. That's from Zenescope, right? I know issue number 1 took off like gangbusters. I didn't check to see where issue number 1 is right now, but we did see issue number 2. Granted, like, keep with the caveat, it's only been a day, but they're still sitting usually about, this is sales, not listings mostly, is sitting about $5 a sale on average. So Zenescope's weird. I mean, Zenescope gets a lot of hate. I kind of have a fondness in my heart for Zenescope. I'm a Zenescope VIP, where you pay like $99, but I buy a lot of their cosplay variants. The Paul Greens, the Keith Garveys. They have a lot of good variants, especially the monthly cosplay or their exclusives, more so than their normal issues, unless it's like a Josh Burns cover. But have you heard anything about Conspiracy number 2? I mean, what's...
There was buzz going in where people were looking to see if it would do what Conspiracy number 1 initially did. But here's the key. It's an anthology series. So issue number 1 was Conspiracy Illuminati. And I think that where we figured this out, now granted, you're right, it's only been a day, but I think that the key is people were interested in the Illuminati aspect of it more than they were, say, a Zenescope book or a conspiracy book, because this week's book is called Conspiracy number 2, Doppelganger. And obviously, so the story follows a doppelganger. I haven't read the story, but it just doesn't seem to connect the way that, Illuminati stuff, people tend to, like it. It has an interest in the market. Some comic publisher should pay attention to that, though, and put out, an Illuminati book. But I really think that has to do with the difference we saw with issue 1 versus issue 2. I think a lot less people went to the shop looking for issue 2.
Right. So one thing, Captain Marvel number 1, another big issue that came out. I think what is it, on volume 9, volume 7? But I think they've had...
Yes, they have rebooted that one more times.
Yeah, I think 6 volumes have been since 2011 or something like that. But there was a lot of great covers for it.
Right.
The Hughes cover. My favorite of them was the Alex Ross cover, of course. I'm a big Alex Ross fan. I don't think he's underappreciated, but I think he's undervalued a lot. But
valued is a good word.
Yeah,
definitely undervalued.
Because he definitely gets recognition and appreciation. But I found it. I didn't look at the 1 in 100. Was 1 in 100, right? The Hughes version. But the 1 in 25. Most of these variants, they're going for ratio. The 1 in 25s sold for 24. There was a sale for 24, a sale for 35, and a sale for $28. The run in 50 is averaging about $50 so far. I mean, it's hard after a day, but like you had brought up, we were talking, is there's a lot of store exclusives for this as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different factors, because you've got store exclusives, which are going to drive up the print run and are going to put large numbers of incentives into hands of a few people, which can mess with the market, especially when you have a book like this where you kind of have like a sweet spot. If you're a retailer and you're looking at this book, you can get, an Alex Ross cover, an Adam Hughes cover, and then a second Adam Hughes cover with the Virgin. And that these are all going to be in demand on the market, and it's going to lower your cost. Factor in that Captain Marvel is just a popular character that can be done well in a pinup style. It makes making a variant very profitable. So you knew that there was going to be a lot of those, and that's going to drive the tends to drive the prices down. But interest is so high in Captain Marvel that they're selling the ratio variants are basically selling at ratio due to the large demand for Captain Marvel with the movie coming out. So it'll be interesting to see over the next couple weeks where these variants kind of move.
I've also noticed that what you just described seems to happen when there's a 1 in 100 or a high ratio Hughes.
Yep.
Because then the similar happened. Was it the Thor, the Adam Hughes, Hela?
Yeah, that gorgeous Hela variant,
Yeah.
and that picture that leaked online of a dealer with 50 or something.
That's when all hell broke loose on the speculation side of.
And we all know that happens, but it was visually seeing it was difficult for some collectors to stomach. So it's going to continue to happen because the incentive is there for dealers to do it. And I don't begrudge dealers for doing it at all. And we've talked about that on our variant live stream. The key is that if you're going to get a large number of variants, to make sure that you're not breaking the market. Don't do damage to the comic market that we all profit off of. Make sure that you are, doing a service and keeping the values where they should be. And I think we're seeing that. And like I said, I think that a lot of that comes into gorgeous covers and the demand due to the movie. A lot of people are real interested. There was also, I will say that this book was sent to me early with some pictures, that last page reveal where people wanted to say that there were some first appearances at the end of Captain Marvel, but we just couldn't confirm who all the characters in the background were. So there is a possibility there, too, that there could be some future developments there.
Right. So do you think it's actual character popularity, or do you think it's marketed popularity because of the movie and everyone, I'm just trying to think outside of like Kelly Sue DeConnick's run was good. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I definitely think, I apologize. I definitely think though it's marketed. You didn't, before there was mention of a Captain Marvel movie, you didn't meet people who were
Captain who?
Marvel. Right. We were talking about the old DC Comics character.
Yeah.
So as a father of two daughters, I'm very happy to have like female on-screen representation. I'm excited for the movie. But yeah, it's definitely a marketing play that has brought us here where people are, paying attention. And I think that a lot of it, that's where a lot of it comes into, is a lot of new speculators are coming into the market. And when you're new, you start to kind of look at those like tried and true tropes, and a movie coming out is as tried and true a way of getting attention on an eBay auction as possible. So, but now Marvel knows that, which is why you've got a new series coming out right before a movie, and all these the variants at your top tier variant artists working on it, open for dealers and LCSs to do variants and whatnot. So Marvel's on to the game, but it'll be interesting to see over the next weeks how it shakes out. I could see it going either way. I could see a lot of the books dropping in value and becoming more affordable and more gettable, and I could see some of the books in the short term raising a bit, just if people continue to go on eBay looking for. If you just type in Captain Marvel, you're going to see a flood of Captain Marvel #1.
Like, wait, Captain Marvel's a dude? But, so and I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited to see the movie, but I was just curious because before I would pick up Captain Marvel books, but it wasn't like a marquee character. But I agree with you. I'm happy that
half the MCU though.
Yeah,
you could say that about half the MCU.
Yeah, and but yeah, I agree with you. It's good to see it marketed, especially if it gets young female readers into the hobby. I'm all about it. But let's move on. Next one you got on there is Savants #1, right? That's a Source Point Press book.
Right. This is another one that was heavy hyped by our indie guru Andy, our Indie Spotlight series writer. Savants comes from Source Point Press, who's been kind of a hit maker of late.
Right.
And it has not landed, I would say, the way that some of their other books have. The reviews have been pretty solid, but it hasn't on the secondary market. We haven't seen sort of the buzz that you got out of the Rejected. But it was definitely a book that people were talking about and looking to kind of check out and feel out. So it'll be interesting to see if it moves at all over the next couple of days as more people get a chance to read it. And once people get a chance to read it and they talk about it, then you can see some more movement.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it kind of follows the trend when you see a lot of those indie publishers that kind of spike. They have a few titles that are really catch on, and then kind of, I won't say it dips a little. I mean, it still keeps an audience, but like Black Mask. Well, Black Mask couldn't put a book out on time, but
Right.
a couple of those other ones. Aftershock still has some really good titles, but at one time, you get this not as well known indie publisher, and they get a couple hits. At first, people go out and go, "Oh, it's a new number one from this publisher. I'm going to grab it because it's going to do exactly what the last 3 titles did." So, to me, it's kind of following the normal trend that you're used to seeing with indie books from a publisher. But
and one thing I will say too with SourcePoint is some of their writers are very aggressive with their promotion in a very positive way.
Right.
They work very hard to put their stuff out and to get the word out. So you can't discount the fact that a lot of the success that, say, Ogre or The Rejected had was just due to grinding by creators in a positive way. The difference between, say, Rags or, say, the guys who Bob Sally, who did Ogre, is night and day as far as the way they're being responded to in the community. So, I think, not to say anything about Savants, I'm not really even honestly familiar with the creative team, but you just didn't see as much on Instagram and on social as you did with those other books.
Right. And there is, I don't know what, I did see there's a gold foil for Savants, right? It was limited to 100 copies. They've been selling for about $30 online.
How did you get one of those? That's
what I was trying to find. I didn't know if it was like a exclusive.
Right. So I couldn't even judge whether that was a good price or whether, but that would definitely be the one to grab. Yeah. If you're going to at all put any investment into Savants, grab that numbered out of 100 or limited to 100.
That's got a Goldschlager gold foil cover.
Yeah. Good luck getting a 9.8 on that.
Yeah. But so next one we have was the Batman number 62 Frank Miller variant, right?
Right.
I thought it was a great cover. That was actually out of the 2 in my weekly picks video. I liked the Frank Miller cover. It was actually decent Frank Miller, not ugly beaten Wonder Woman Frank Miller, like man face. But it's sitting right up where it hadn't spiked or anything like that. But I still enjoyed the cover, and I think it was worth being on the Bolo list because everything on the Bolo list isn't. If you're hitting home runs on all these, comics is good.
Right. Yeah. Again, because the Bolo list is not intended for it to be, the short-term speculation you're going to flip, this weekend. So I included Batman 62 for a couple of reasons. Number one, because you talked about it and I totally agreed with your assessment on the book. Secondly, I am very bullish on DCB variants. I think that the buy-in on them is low. I think that a lot of them get overlooked. I think we focus on a couple every week. And I think that there's beautiful ones that get overlooked. I think there's beautiful ones that end up getting dumped on clearance lists. I think that they're going to dry up over time. And I think that it's going to be very interested 5 to 10 years or even shorter, 3 years from now, as people kind of look back, which of these covers kind of become iconic. And when you start to talk in terms of that, Frank Miller has one of the most controversial art styles. So you can hear two, two people are going to agree whether he's the greatest artist or the worst artist. But he is synonymous with Batman through The Dark Knight. And
right.
What's unique about this book is it's an in-continuity variant. So if you think about it in terms of that, there's not a ton of things out there like that where you have a Frank Miller in-continuity variant. It's a one-off story. If they don't go back to that well a lot, or if they don't go back to that well again, it could have holding power over time because there is a community of people who love Frank Miller.
Right.
So, and I think that would be a great book. You talk about a signed and graded opportunity. I think that would be a great one. So that's why I include that book. I think that's a book. It's sitting right where I would expect it to sit right now. Yeah. But I definitely think that's a book that is worth grabbing a few copies and sticking in a short box and forgetting.
So I agree with you, especially with the way you're talking about the B covers for DC. I like how DC puts out basically two covers, a cover A and a cover B. And I like how their B covers are almost virgin variants with little trade dress, and it showcases the art. I think DC is killing it with their cover artists right now. So I definitely agree with what you're saying there. Next thing you have on the list, Avengers number 12, Noto, but I want to expand that a little bit, and let's talk about Marvel's doing 80th anniversary variants for almost all their titles, and they're all Phil Noto variants, right? I'm a huge fan of Phil Noto. Some people don't. It's just like Miller and everyone else, right? I like his art style. I think some of these 80th anniversary variants are. I really love the covers and love the art, but it's like if you're looking at it from a speculation point of view, maybe one of them will pick up every now and then. But the way Marvel puts so many covers out for so many titles right now, it's hard for those to stand out against other ones.
And there you're talking about the compare and contrast. We were just talking about DC and the cover B program where you get these virgin variants and it's art focused. And Marvel loves to do these themed variant programs. And I just think that it's very hard to sustain popularity when you start talking about multiple variants over time. So I totally agree with your assessment. I like Noto as well. I think a lot of his art is slept on. But I actually included this book kind of late, and I included it because it had the first appearance. So it was being talked about for the first appearance, and I believe it's the only variant for the book, and it kicks off the 80th, and you just don't know how that's going to land. But I definitely kind of agree with your assessment that it becomes overwhelming unless you can pick up covers cheap or something. A lot of people are not putting these various variant sets together unless you're talking about Star Wars or you're talking about a specific artist that they mess with hard.
Yeah, because they're also tag team. It'd be okay if they had the regular cover, like and then an incentive or couple 1 in 25, 1 in 50, and then the Noto 80th. But they're also throwing in the Conan vs. Villains variant covers. That's regular. It's just kind of gets washed out, in my opinion. But so I think we discussed that one good enough. Captain Marvel, Hughes, and Ross, we've kind of discussed those. Another one, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 1, Art Germ, right? There's a regular and a virgin, correct?
Correct.
And I haven't seen much market. Do you think people are getting Art Germ fatigue?
100%. I even hemmed and hawed putting it on the list.
Yeah.
It got mentioned from most people just because of the Art Germ name. And we see that a lot with Matino, where Matino puts out stuff and a lot of stuff. So anything Matino will get talked about. But it didn't seem to have any sort of like momentum building. It didn't seem like anybody was really speculating on it. I think that it's a nice cover, but if we're being honest, it's not what Art Germ does best. What Art Germ does is the pinup girl covers, and that's always going to hit for him.
Him and Campbell.
Right. And it's like when they do, and I have nothing bad to say about that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man cover. Yeah. But it just, I look at it and I go, okay. Yeah. And it just, if you're not an Art Germ collector, I don't think it's going to pop. But let me tell you something, though. I'll put the Bolo on this right now. Keep your eye on that cover. Because that is a cover that has discount later written all over it. That's a cover that I could see Midtown or TFAW down the road putting a heavy discount on the regular cover B version or something like that. And if you can pick it up down the road for $2 or $1 and stash it away, that then, like everything else, everything's going to have its day. But as far as in the short term, any sort of gains on it, I don't see it happening.
Right. And then Miles Morales Spider-Man #2, right? I didn't have it in my weekly picks video last week, and the community let me know, hey, why don't you have this in there?
There was a late groundswell.
Right. And I'm a big fan of Sanaa Takeda. I love Monstrous. I love the work he did for like the Dark Crystal books he did for Boom. I just wasn't. It wasn't a heavy hitter book for me, so I didn't really put it in the weekly picks. I always toe that line between what are my actual weekly picks, but then what is also stuff that I think people that are watching that might not be aware of what's coming out that they might want to be aware of. But this was one that I was like, it's all right, and it's average is $30 right now. Highest sold for was $49. There's actually a sale of $15, but I didn't really look at what the prices are for listed right now. But I'm a fan of Miles Morales. I like Miles, but it might be something worth holding on to. What do you think?
Well, yeah. See, now this book. First off, I love hearing about what goes into kind of your process for picking books, because I think that a lot of times, people get accused of all kinds of nefarious things when it comes into picking these lists and whatnot. But it is such a labor-intensive thing that I look at people like you and someone like Bueller, who's somebody outside the CBSI community who puts out lists, or people within the community, even like Adam's Wednesday one, which we talked about, which isn't really a list, but it's still kind of like, his musings of what books are coming out and what his opinion on them. And coming out on that limb is tough. So you're going to get people that are going to reach out to you and bring this book up. This book broke late, though. It wasn't one that, like, 2 weeks ago I was really thinking was going to be a book that was going to spike and was going to be like an above ratio kind of book. It's funny that I was going to ask you what you thought about it. So it's funny to hear your take, whether or not, I don't know whether this is just appreciation for the artwork, if it's hype for post Into the Spider-Verse, or a combination of the two.
I think it's a combination of the two. But I also think it was what is it, 1 in 50, right? It was a higher ratio. So I think with the 1 in 50 and then with the Takeda as the artist on it, I think that created some buzz around it by itself. But then I think people within the comic market are well aware of Spider-Verse, and they're probably the most people that went and saw the movie. Great movie, by the way. They're saying that I've heard that Sony thinks it's underperforming, but yeah, I don't know, because I didn't see what's going on in this book that makes this book worth me picking up outside of appreciation of Takeda.
Right. And there was other than that, the talk was there's a team up with Rhino, but obviously that's a cool thing for readers, but that's not really a secondary market mover. The art didn't personally speak to me, so it wasn't something that I was jumping out at and saying, this is a book that I think is going to be big, or this is a book that I'm jumping on. And it doesn't scream Miles Morales or Spider-Verse. It's more Takeda style, and it has that monstrous look, and so it's unique from that perspective. But it wasn't one that I thought kind of would see that heat. But people seem to like it, so it'll be interesting to see as they dry up, being a higher ratio variant, where those prices sit, if they drop or if they raise. It's definitely one I could see kind of going up, depending on what the print run looks like on it. But there's going to be so much Spider-Verse stuff coming. Marvel sees the cash cow, so there's going to be so much.
So the next one on your list, you got the Jango Fett #1, right? And then I think I won't say killed this, but the turnoff for me again was what Marvel's been doing. Is there was 8 covers for it?
Yep. And there was some nice artwork on some of the covers. And You know what kills me is the trade dress.
Yeah.
If you look at the trade dress, it honestly looks like the Dark Horse Star Wars stuff.
Right.
It has that same kind of look. But yeah, they overdo it. I don't think that this mini series that they're doing where these little one shots are really popping. I think if there was like if the Inhyuk Lee, I don't know how you pronounce it.
Oh yeah, and Hyuk at Hockley.
If that was a high ratio variant, I think you'd have a chance.
Right.
The one thing I will say in favor of Jango Fett is Boba Fett hasn't had a lot of screen time in the Star Wars universe, and we know that at some point Disney wants to cash in on the interest in Boba Fett, and they're going to have to expand on the universe and the story. And I think Jango Fett is a kind of slept on, under the radar character, and grabbing some of these variants while cheap may be a smart move down the road.
Sorry, I was commenting in chat. So, Probe 186 was putting in the chat and said if anyone makes comic videos, let him know so he can sub them up. So, if you guys are in the chat and you're watching the video and you have a YouTube channel, by all means, put your channel in there. I kind of want to take a step back real quick, because you had mentioned Comics with Bueller a couple minutes ago, right? And he, awesome comic channel. He had me on his channel once for a live stream. Great guy. He's one of those guys that's genuine, very genuine. Love of comics, great conversation. There's no motive behind it. I mean, it's one of those guys that loves everyone. So he had a tragedy in his life this week. So his videos, he's not putting out as many videos. I think he did do his live stream tonight. But I just want to send prayers his way, man. And comic community feels for you. Everyone has nice things to say about you. And definitely sorry for the tragedy you're going through. And keep your head up, man. Everything will get better. But great channel. If you guys get a chance, sub up Comics with Bueller. And he's a content machine, man. He's one of those guys that's like every time you look, he's got a video up. So definitely check him out.
And he's one of those guys where when he's talking about something on YouTube or on Instagram, people are paying attention.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm paying attention, and I consume his content because it's part of the machine that goes into making the Bolo list. And I definitely want to reiterate the sentiments that you said. Shout out to him. Just terrible situation, and we're thinking about him.
Yeah, definitely. He has awesome 50-cent bin videos, man. But with that being said, I want to skip over your bonus, Bolo, and let's go into your long-term play, because I agree with you on that. And you got the Martian Manhunter #2 Middleton variant. Middleton, of course, hot right now with his covers. It's one of those things. But that Martian Manhunter #2, the only thing I love the cover, I think it's a great cover, is just Martian Manhunter doesn't get much love.
No. But that's why. So this category is a new category I started last week. I don't know if I'll use it every week. I want to. But it is the reason I put my name on it is because it is the only pick that is coming straight from me that I didn't necessarily hear anything about this book. But it is a book that I believe in as a long-term play. And as I've stated, I'm very in favor of long-term plays. I think speculators are getting too flip-focused. I also think that the DC covers are great long-term plays. So when you look at this, you have what I think is a very colorful, bright, vibrant, great cover by an artist who is popular, extremely popular, but I don't even think has reached the height of popularity that Joshua Middleton can hit. And yes, Martian Manhunter has not traditionally been a popular character. But you have to look at it. First off, I think that the DC universe, their movie program, obviously has hit some skids. And I think that had we not had the problems that we had, we'd probably be looking at a Justice League movie, another Justice League movie far different. I don't think you can truly do the Justice League the way you should do the Justice League without Martian Manhunter. I also think in today's world where, inclusion, it becomes so important. And people tend to reject forced diversity. I think Martian Manhunter is an amazing character. You're talking about an alien who, his planet was destroyed due to essentially a race war, and he comes to our planet and can take the form of any human and chooses an African American because he more relates to that person. I think that is a kind of a movie trope that could tell a great story. And so looking long term, there's not a ton of Martian Manhunter solo books, variants to really look at. So if I agree with you, Martian Manhunter is definitely a smaller character. And I definitely had hopes before this series of this having some Mr. Miracle Vision type heat. And I don't think we got that from a reader buzz standpoint. Yeah. But I have hopes that at some point, if Martian Manhunter pops, this will be a book that people will go back to.
Right. So we had technical difficulties at the beginning of the live stream. I forgot to show off my my Bolo tie. That's what the Bolo's for, right? I got me a Howlin' Wolf. See if we could, look at that. Bolo.
Yeah, everybody was asking what Bolo means.
I saw that and I was like, it's because of this awesome Bolo tie. But
and just to be clear, for those, if we haven't made it clear, Bolo stands for Be on the Lookout. You'll hear it. Typically the most common here in police terminology if they're letting somebody know about a suspect. But I come from the clothing and sneaker world. I've worked in retail and merchandising in the sneaker industry for years. And Bolo is commonly used in the clothing industry as kind of a term to let others know, hey, be on the lookout that this is coming in fashion or in trend, or that this item is selling at one store versus another. So it's a term that I had always used, always been a part of, had never seen it used in comics, and thought it could kind of be a fun term to kind of use and coin myself and bring it to CBSI and make it our thing.
Right.
And gets a lot of laughs, but it's become a thing now, so we're rolling with it.
I will tell you the hardest thing to do is to put in a YouTube video description, Bolo, recap, and then hope people know what the heck you're talking about, because it's like, well, how am I going to word this? So, yeah, be on the lookout. But it definitely works on Instagram. The tag's been doing well, right?
Absolutely. It's hashtag CBSIBOLO. And then also, if you follow me on AKA Mr. Bolo, I also do Bolos outside of just comics world. So we will have some sports card Bolos or sneaker Bolos or Funko Pop Bolos. And on that account, we'll just use regular hashtag Bolo or hashtag AKA Mr. Bolo. But definitely be checking for those. Use your discovery feature and find that hashtag CBSIBOLO, because we're always throwing deals up there. If I see a deal out there somewhere online, I want to pass that along to the community and let you know.
Right. Because, shoot, man, during the holiday season, I got hung up in that Funko buzz, man. I was on, was it Box Lunch, Hot Topic? I was like, I'm buying more Funkos than freaking comic books right now.
But, oh, yeah, you can see them behind me. Walmart exclusive Thanos. Yeah. Got the Infinity Gauntlets right behind me.
But, so, speaking of Funko, you do have a bonus Bolo on there. Do you want to talk about it, or?
Sure. I felt like I had to include it. I thought about including it last week, and I said no. If you follow the at Comic Book Invest CBSI account, you may have noticed that at times we've done Bolos for Funko Pops. I did a sound off Saturday, and we kind of got some feedback from the community, and it was really split whether people liked that or didn't like it. So I decided to pull that back for now. Way too early to even begin thinking about it, but there may come a day where CBSI gets involved in a toy or Funko Pop capacity. But for now, we kind of have faded back off that a bit. But this was a pop that we boloed when it was first announced. When we very first talked about when this pop came out, we've seen what the comics did And this was a character created in the comics. It was created through the Boom series. And the Lord Draken pop was highly, highly anticipated. It's a previews exclusive, which means anyone with a Diamond account can get it. And so you're going to get it at comic shops. You're going to get it at some specialty shops. These pops tend to be anywhere from $11, $12. You can find some if you've got a good relationship as low as $9. But we are seeing sales right now, completed sales on eBay, 25 to 30 already. And you're talking a week after release. And when I put that out there, I actually heard people negatively coming back at me going, oh, I see this pop everywhere. Well, then buy it, because it is legitimately selling for $25 to $30. And we're only talking a week after release, and you don't see Funkos do that. Funko is a slow burn. So the fact that that pop has exploded that much in a week, and I felt that it was probably still sitting at some LCSs there, I wanted to make sure I let the community know this is a definite good buy, and it ties into the comics. It was a character born in the comics that has really revitalized Power Rangers.
Right. So I went ahead, I took the Bolo list down, I put the swag up there again. Don't forget about the CBSI swag contest going on CBS. What is it? Comic Book Invest CBSI Instagram is an Instagram account. Like I said, the link for CBSI Swag's website, if you just want to go and buy some swag, but the link for the Instagram post to enter the contest is in the video description as well. I think first one we got some things to work out, but overall I think it went pretty well. If you guys are in the chat and you guys have some suggestions, just be gentle on us. But welcome to constructive criticism, how we can make this better. What works for you guys? What would be if there's anything outside the Bolo list that you guys want us to discuss, by all means, we are a comic community. Everyone in the chat, we want to bring you into this as well. So whatever you guys want, man. We want to try to keep it.
Let us know.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said definitely let us know. Yeah. Reach out to us. Hit us up in the chat, in the comment section. First off, definitely make sure everybody's liked and subscribed to Simpleman's Comics so you can get those notifications on a weekly basis, letting you know when we're going to be going live. But let us know. We'd love to hear and how we can cater this to kind of build value on the Bolo list. Yeah,
definitely open to suggestions. And comment how cool his beard is. I mean, he's got it's like fire flame red.
You know?
Me, I can't grow a beard, man. I'll get to come out here like this. But
I can't grow hair. You can't grow a beard. We're a perfect team.
I know, right? But so yeah. Appreciate every guys watching. Comics with Bueller. Make sure you guys hit him up. Bunch of other channels.
Comic Tom. While I saw it in the chat. Only reason why we didn't mention it is he doesn't necessarily do like a weekly picks video. He does do a weekly pick on the Key Collector app.
He does he's an hourly pick video or something, right? Doesn't he? He's got like 6 videos a day.
Right. So that's not his thing, but we definitely want to send love to Comic Tom. He's been instrumental in our growth and a great guy to work with.
Right. So, David, did you change his name? He went from SNMC to SMNC. Says we should go in depth with new first appearances. So that's something we could take in. Go ahead. Even this will be up after it's live. So if you guys have comments later on, by all means. But we'll be weekly Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. And look forward to seeing you guys. Make sure you follow on CBSI Instagram. Catch that Bolo list. And let us know, even on Instagram. Doesn't have to be on the video. If you guys have something that pops up and you want to be covered, let us know by all means. But appreciate you guys coming out. Jack, you get the last word.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. And again, make sure you guys are subscribed to Simpleman's Comics. I'm happy to be here on a weekly basis.
Right. I'll get the last word. Also, make sure you check out comicbookinvest.com for a bunch of great articles. Yep. Andy Tomberlin. Probably just killed his name. In case you haven't noticed, especially watching weekly picks, I'm horrible with names, but Indie Spotlight series, always great articles up there. So comicbookinvest.com as well. So without anything else, you guys have a good night.